Hi, thank you for watching us here at Tax Talk UK, where we talk about all things tax and also cover other important aspects and topics relating to being self-employed and running your small business, all aimed at supporting you to be successful in that. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about minimum wage and an overview to that. Before I do, if I could please ask that you take a moment to subscribe to our YouTube channel. That way you'll easily be able to refer back to our video if you need to refer back to the content, as well as being able to quickly find information available that we have on a whole wide range of topics, all catalogued in our playlist to try to help you to find the content that is relevant to your scenario and that will help you in your self-employment. So on to minimum wage then. So this can be a little bit confusing for new employers, but actually it really isn't confusing at all if you just remember the principle that it is exactly what it says. So the minimum wage is the minimum amount that you can pay your employee for the work that they're doing for you. So pretty much everybody is entitled to a minimum wage. If you are a company director, perhaps if you're working as operating as a micro entity, limited company, and paying yourself via the payroll as a director, then you don't need to worry about paying yourself a minimum wage. That is fine. Of course, if somebody is a volunteer, then you're not paying them. So, but they have to be a volunteer by choice. So you can't ask your employee to volunteer some of their times. Need to be a legitimate volunteer. So really that is the thing that you need to make sure that you understand what the minimum wage is for your specific employees. So it will be the rate that they will be entitled to per hour will depend on their age predominantly. And even an apprentice will still be entitled to a minimum amount per hour. So of course, if you are paying somebody weekly or monthly, then you just need to a set amount. You just need to see in their contract what hours you are asking them to work, and just divide the pay by the number of hours in the week or the month. Of course, if it's monthly, you need to divide it by 12 to get an annual, and then back down again, because not all months will be the same. So you need to understand and have a handle on what the minimum amount is that you need to be paying your employees, and making sure basically that you're paying that. Now, if you're not sure, then or you just got a simple question, or you want to check something, then the ACAS website is very good for providing factual information. So that would help you to understand, for example, if you paid somebody, if they were due a commission, would that count towards the calculation of their minimum wage? Actually, in that scenario, it would depend whether they're contracted to be paid that commission. But lots of different scenarios. And this is where it does get confusing. So yes, the minimum wage as a concept is not confusing. It's a minimum amount, a minimum rate per hour that you should be paying your employees. but it can become complex when other factors come into play. And if you're not sure, of course, there can be large penalties for not complying with employment legislation. Your employee could take you to a tribunal if they're not happy that you're operating everything correctly. So it is really, really important that you take the time to understand exactly what is required, if there's anything that your employees are being paid or doing in addition to the sort of basic hourly work. It's really, really important that you understand how that impacts on minimum wage. And of course, if you do have complex payrolls scenarios, then perhaps you may need to consider engaging a payroll professional to take on that task. And especially if you're not confident, or if there's mistakes that are being made, or you're not keeping up with changes in legislation, then the value of doing that can pay for itself. And that's notwithstanding the fact that really getting an employee's pay correct is the most important thing. Your employees, much as they may enjoy the work that they do, ultimately they are carrying out that job. They have taken that job to earn their wage. So therefore to not respect that and get there and ensure that their wage is 100% accurate can undermine that relationship. So if you do decide that you need some help with your payroll, and you do need to engage a payroll professional, then please do make sure that they're qualified and they have indemnity insurance, and to make sure, because otherwise it defeats the object of taking on professional help. If as I mentioned before, if you are carrying out your payroll yourself and you are confident doing that, but you've just come across a tricky scenario, if you just need a factual sort of information, then ACAS would be the place to go for that. Some HR consultants you are able to engage on a sort of subscription basis, so that they don't just work for you, that they work for lots of people, and that enables you to then go for help if you have specific difficulties. And then other organisations such as the Federation for Small Businesses, if you're a member, have a support helpline where you can go for specific scenarios. So as I mentioned, ACAS are great for factual information, and they will if you phone them, they will give you the factual information for your scenario, but they won't be able to relate that to a specific circumstance. If you do need help with that, you need to take on something that's a little bit more specific and unique to you. So hopefully this does help you to understand a little bit about how the minimum wage works, but also some of the scenarios where you might need to look a little bit more in depth to make sure that you are paying minimum wage, and ensure that you are completing your payroll correctly and complying with all the employment legislation that you're required to. So thank you again for watching. If you have found this interesting and useful, please do take a moment to like the video. That helps us to understand which of our content to focus on. The more people like a certain topic, then we will presume that that is the most helpful, and focus on those topics as we are getting more and more questions, which is great. It's really good to know that people are out there running their small businesses and actually wanting to do things correctly and wanting help to that aim. Thank you. Goodbye.